So Sevem from Baddies of Atlanta recently posted a YouTube video where she did a recap of the entire show and kind of her thoughts on Baddies ATL, and she was just answering common questions that she gets. Sevem said that she felt like one of the main things that went wrong with the show is that there were too many people in charge. She says that Zeus gave the girls too much input, which she's not sure why because the girls have little to no experience producing an actual show. And Sevem says that she feels that Tanisha would have been the better pick between Tanisha and Natalie as far as who's the leader of the show, because Tanisha has history with hosting reunions, and she says Natalie is just overall too messy. Which is true, the girls have no experience in producing a show. They have been talent on shows, but that is not the same thing as actually being behind the scenes and trying to produce a show, all while being on film as well. Sevem also addresses Christina and Sarah's claims and rumors about Natalie Nunn being an escort in other countries and portraying them as Lash events. She takes a long pause before answering the question. Then she says that she was offered a trip but declined once she's seen the details of the trip. She says that everyone who goes on those trips knows what happens on them, but she chose not to. So that part left me wondering what the details of those trips were, and she pretty much confirms without having to confirm that Natalie is indeed an escort. Sevem also talks about the unaired argument between Christina and Natalie. Sevem says that a lot of low blows were thrown, that a lot of personal issues were thrown in the argument, and if Zeus would have aired their argument, Natalie would probably be getting a divorce and Christina would be in some trouble. She said that the only good thing that came out of the show was the BGC fans got to see the real her, and more so how she is now. She says she would probably not do Baddies ATL season 2 because it's not really worth it for her, and she didn't gain much out of doing the show. Sevem says that she fought Sarah because Sarah kept bugging her and was in her ear and kept chiming in when Sevem was trying to address Sydney over their hair in the sink. Sevem says that Sarah just kept poking her and that she doesn't really regret fighting her. She does talk about this one unaired moment from the show. She says that Sarah was in her room yelling and that Sevem had told Sarah if Sarah felt like Sevem snuck her, that they could easily fight again. Sevem says production told security to move out the way and everyone kind of cleared the way between the two, but there was no fight because she says Sarah just kind of cried and walked away. Sevem also says that she feels like Jocelyn's Cabaret is a better show because they have more things for the girls to do and that there was a set plan and there weren't too many people in charge. In the show, during Sarah and Sevem's talk after the fight, you can hear Sarah say that she had been hearing things and that since Natalie told her these things, she believed them to be true because Natalie was her friend at the time. Well, Sevem talks about what she had been hearing from Natalie and Tanisha. She says that Tanisha wasn't or didn't seem like she was coming from a messy place, but was really more so asking what was going on between Sarah and Sevem. She said that Natalie seemed to be gassing it up more by saying she thinks it could be because Sevem is pretty and has nice things, so Sarah kind of feels a competition. And Sevem says that Tanisha and Natalie didn't really tell her things that she wasn't already witnessing on her own. Sevem also talks about Christina and Natalie by saying that she feels like Christina can beat Natalie in a fight. She says that where Christina goes wrong though is that Christina can throw a good hit, but then kind of steps back and waits for the other person to do something. Where if Christina kind of threw that hit and kept going, that she feels like she can really beat Natalie. Then Sevem talks about how she doesn't have to act like an for people to like her. She says her engagements are higher than the other girls and that she's more popular for being the so-called boring one. She says that she never really liked Natalie like that, so she didn't take what Natalie said about her too offensive. She says that she kind of knew that Natalie was going to somehow backstab her in a way, but she was just waiting for the moment. But she didn't think the moment would be as messy as it was with Sarah exposing these conversations. Sevem says that she feels like Tanisha is dramatic, but it's a genuine dramatic because her dramatics are always the same. She says that even when the cameras were off, Tanisha was still like loud, dramatic. So once she learned that about Tanisha, she didn't really take it too seriously. She talked about Sydney and says that Sydney does not know how to stop and she's quiet when the cameras are off, but acts up every time they come around, and says that Sydney will do whatever she can to make sure she's getting the maximum amount of camera time. She says that Natalie hangs out with people and then she talks about them, which Sevem says that she didn't really understand because if you don't like someone, just don't hang out with them. She says that Sarah doesn't think before she speaks and that she had a lot of points, but she always felt like Sarah's points fell flat because Sarah would revert back to Natalie and her and Natalie's friendship. So that was all the tea that Sevem kind of has spilled in her video. If you guys want to watch her full video, it'll be linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. See you in the next one. Bye.